I'd like to take a few minutes to show you Thoughtexchange's new cohort visualization. With this visualization, you can actually see where your constituents are in their thinking. It's like a picture of your whole community, and not just a static picture. You can actually see how people move as they participate in the thought exchange process, how they're influenced by other people's thoughts to shift in their own thinking. Let's run through an example so that you can see some of the wealth of insights you can get from our cohort visualization. In this example, the superintendent of a school district needs to decide what to include in a budget ahead of a bond referendum. Some budget items, such as essential upgrades to elementary schools, must be included in the budget. Other items, such as a major renovation of a football stadium, are optional. The superintendent knows that some people feel strongly that the football stadium should be included in the budget, but she wants to learn about the priorities of all her constituents. On this visualization, you can see the thousands of thoughts shared in the school district's thought exchange process by parents, staff, and other community members. This thought bubble, for example, represents thoughts supporting improvements at the elementary level, as you can see from the text at the top of the screen, nice improvements at the elementary level. And this one includes thoughts supporting upgrades to outdated facilities, as again you can see from that text at the top of the screen. The bigger the thought bubble, the more the thoughts in that bubble resonated with people. The challenge for the superintendent is to see where her community is in agreement and where are the issues that might cause problems. Thoughtexchange's patent-pending cohort analysis can yield exactly these kind of insights into how your community is thinking. Cohort analysis identifies a number of broad groups of people within your community called cohorts, represented by these coloured circles, the orange, the green, the blue and the pink in this case. These thoughts in the middle that I'm showing right now, away from all of the circles, are the ones that appeal to a broad range of people in your community, not just to one particular group. So as we've seen already, nice improvements at the elementary level, upgrades to outdated facilities, these are the kind of thoughts that everyone can agree on. Now let's take a look at the thoughts away from the centre. First, these thoughts close to the green cohort at the top. Let's have a look at some of these thoughts. They're thoughts that resonate with people in the green cohort. So this one, for example, was one of the largest. Less money for safety and security. Safety and security again. This thought bubble represents thoughts about technology upgrades. There is less money allotted for technology. There's a clear common thread here. People in the green cohort are concerned about safety, security and technology. Now let's look at the thoughts that resonate with people in the pink cohort at the bottom here. Updating facilities is important. Investment in education. How were the priority schools determined? All projects sound necessary and benefit kids. These are thoughts about making wise investments, but they don't identify the concrete steps the school district should take. This group really doesn't have an opinion on specific projects, at least not yet. But they will, and that makes this cohort worth watching closely. Now let's look at the orange cohort on the right. In this case, there's one outstanding thought way out in the orange cohort, well away from the centre. The budget must not leave out the work on the football stadium. And finally, the blue cohort on the left. Again, there's one outstanding theme. The football stadium should not be a priority. These last two cohorts, the orange and the blue, articulate strong opinions on a specific project, the football stadium, and they're in direct opposition. Some pretty clear themes are emerging here, so let's label the cohorts. As we saw, people in the green cohort are concerned about safety, security and technology. The people in the pink cohort are pro-wise investments. And as we've just seen, the people in the orange cohort clearly have one overriding concern. They want that major renovation of the football stadium. And the people in the blue cohort have the opposite concern. They do not want the major renovation. The cohort visualization becomes truly powerful when you start looking at people. Each one of these people I've just shown is a constituent, a parent or a teacher who took part in the school district's thought exchange process. Now you really start to get a picture of your community. There are plenty of people in the middle here who are not strongly aligned with any one cohort, so there's broad support for the upgrades to elementary schools, for example. This lets the superintendent breathe a little easier because she knows that this item must be included in the budget. You can see that people are pretty evenly split between the 4 cohorts. The pink cohort down here is the largest, as you can see from the size of the pink the pink circle compared to the others, and from the number of people coloured pink. Still, there are plenty of people up in the green cohort up here, concerned about safety, security and technology. And importantly, there are about the same number of people in the orange pro-football stadium cohort over here as there are in the blue anti-football stadium cohort over here. As you can see, the orange circle and the blue circle are about the same size. This reflects what the superintendent has heard from her constituents. Although some people are opposed to the costly renovation of the football stadium, there's a vocal group who are strongly in favour of including it in the budget. Now, it's important to understand that what we're looking at here is where people are at the share step of the thought exchange process, where they get to share their thoughts. And the crucial thing here is that they do so independently. Participants don't influence each other at the share step, they share their thoughts on their own. Our cohort yields some even deeper insights when we switch to the star step, where people get to see their own thoughts and other people's thoughts, and assign stars to them to prioritise them. The crucial difference is that at the star step, participants get to see each other's thoughts, so get to influence others and be influenced by others. Let's see how being exposed to other people's thoughts moves people. What we're seeing here is how people move as they participate in the thought exchange process. Now, there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to show it again. But first, notice how the sizes of the circles have changed. The green and the blue cohorts have become much larger, and the pink and the orange cohorts have become much smaller. So let me go back to the share step. So remember, here in the share step, we're looking at the community before the thought exchange process, before anyone had a chance to influence anyone else. This time, as you follow the animation, watch the people. Here at the share step, they're pretty evenly distributed. Going forward to the star step again, individuals move in all sorts of different ways, but looking at the whole community, there's a clear movement up and to the left, away from the pink and orange cohorts towards the green and blue cohorts. What's happening here? The star step of the thought exchange process, in which constituents are influenced by each other, has shifted people's thinking. Sure, there are some people in the orange pro-football stadium cohort still who remain unmoved by other people's thoughts, but many of them moved away from their pro-football stadium position, maybe towards the centre because they recognise that the upgrades to elementary schools are more important right now. Maybe towards the green cohort because they were swayed by others' concerns about safety, security and technology. Or maybe they were converted entirely and ended up in the blue cohort, persuaded, after reading other people's thoughts on the issue, that the renovation of the football stadium just isn't a priority after all. Just as importantly, many people who, before the thought exchange process, didn't seem to have a position on the football stadium one way or the other, moved towards the anti-football stadium cohort. This is the revelation for the superintendent. When her broader community considered the renovation of the football stadium, reading thoughts that supported it as well as thoughts that did not, a substantial number of them moved towards thinking that it should not be a priority. The thought exchange process didn't just reveal this broad support for leaving the football stadium out of the budget, it helped forge this support. The school district's constituents didn't just say what they thought, they were moved by what other people thought. For the superintendent, the insight from the cohort visualization is invaluable. The thought exchange process revealed to her not only the strength of feeling against the renovation of the football stadium, but also how people moved towards this sentiment. She is able to leave the football stadium out of the budget, confident that she will have the broad support of her community.